Ahem. Ahem, ahem. Good morning. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. Achieving world peace through inner world peace and inner strength. Waking your worlds up physically, then mentally, then spiritually, and then physically again. Why? To feel better in that godlike experience of yours, that body of yours. How? Objectively, through the help of your no-nonsense podcast. With your host every morning, Herbie, this is Pagawan. Welcome back. Good morning. Welcome back to another True Love Tuesdays on Pagawan. It is Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. Can you believe it? 2021. We are here. We are here. We really out here. Welcome back to another True Love Tuesdays, where we discuss the two sexes and the relationships, of course, between the self and the self. Today we talk about fat. Love and fat. True Love Tuesdays. What all about fat? Why is it, how can we talk about this? We're gonna find out today on True Love Tuesday. Feels so good on the inside out, everybody. Stretching our self-awareness every morning like a muscle. How art thou doing wherever you are, whenever you are, wherever thou art, whenever thou art? Are you remembering to allow all of these words go in one ear? Ooh. And out to the other. As we extract meaning into that godlike experience of yours, that your body, that vessel of yours, that window to this godlike, subconscious, common, unconscious experience that we're all having. That body of yours, making you feel so good from the inside out here on Pagawan. What do we mean by that? As in, we discuss things from the inside out, but also make us bodies feel so good from the inside out, using the help of your own body. That amazing window to this godlike experience of yours that we discuss all the time. In history, media, blah, 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 and everywhere. Check it out. Bah! With the help of your own body. As in, would you pretend with me that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out? About 1 or 2 inches in front of your lips. Imagine there's like a candle that you're trying to not put out. Like a lit candle. It's just like flickering in front of your lips. And you're trying to not put it out. Just imagine that with me. As you leave your swallowing muscles alone, as you imagine that there's a lit candle about 1 or 2 inches in front of the lips that you simply are just trying to not put out as you leave your swallowing muscles alone. And just to observe your sense of self as that might happen. Good morning. Thank you for that follow, fragilities. Would you pretend with me that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out? About 1 or 2 inches. Don't think about breathing in. Don't think about breathing out. As your body does this already. Your body already has a mechanisms. It's already designed to do what it needs to do. Unconsciously, subconsciously. Breathing. As in when you're focused on something deeply, your brain is not consciously thinking about breathing, right? But as you focus deeper on a task, your body surely needs to breathe, and it's still doing so. Whether you are focused on this breathing activity or not. Isn't that true? Otherwise, wouldn't you suffocate as you focus on anything besides your breathing. So just allow your breathing to do what it needs to do, but instead focus on the feelings and the motions of your body. As you pretend with me that there's a candle in front of the lips, a lit candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to simply leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. Observing your sense of self the whole way through. One more time. If you would, just pretend with me that there is a lit candle in front of the lips. You're trying to not put out, and to also leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. Simply observing your sense of self as this happens. And as your body is designed to breathe and inhale and exhale, whether you want to or not, as we simply focus on the feelings of the body and not the passages of the air itself, but rather the motions and the movement of the body. As we are feeling so good from the inside out, what are you doing right now? Have you asked yourself what you're doing right now? Have you asked yourself, what are you up to right now? Have you asked yourself, are my eyes open or are my eyes closed? As we are stretching our self-awareness like a muscle, are my eyes open or are they closed? How do my eyes feel this morning? It is 5:37 a.m. How do my eyes feel on True Love Tuesdays? As we discuss on True Love Tuesday, the relationship between the two sexes. But of course, on Pago On, we're always also discussing the relationship between ourselves. Feeling so good from the inside out. How well are we able to breathe in that moment? How well are we able to stay calm? How well are we able to feel good, feel like we can overcome, and actually feel like the next moment in life is worth it by pretending that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone to do so. And you might be asking me, Herbie, what are those diagrams in the back behind you? And I might remind you, it is just a reminder that the weight-bearing portion of the spine, to feel so good from the inside out, right? To facilitate in all of this breathing, to facilitate in all of this reconstruction, rediscovery towards our body's actual self, to feel more present in the moment, to love and feel great and to feel amazing in every moment by feeling more present as possible in the moment, as there are in always infinity things to pay attention to in the current moment, more than we could possibly handle, more than we possibly could emotionally handle. Right? As in, at every moment in time, there's always infinity things at every layer of consciousness, right? You could be thinking emotionally. You could be thinking about physically how you feel right now. You could be thinking about spiritually how you feel right now. You could be thinking about your desires right now. You could be thinking about your issues. You could be thinking about your abandonment issues. Or you could be thinking about your desires and your dreams and hopes right now. Or you could be thinking about your pleasures right now. There's so many layers of this experience. You could be focusing on your certain senses, your vision senses, if there's a really bright light outside, or if you're just like, if you're really focused on this movie, or really focused on the sun outside in the window, or it could be really hyper focused on the sounds, the chirping outside, the rustling of the bristles on your teeth as you brush your teeth this morning, the water coming from the faucet. You'd be hyper-focused on the sounds and feel so great doing that. Or you could be hyper-focused on the touch. And those are all the physical senses, right? But then you start adding into that layers of consciousness, like feelings of survival, feelings of emotion, feeling of logic gathering or logic application to the world. So many different states of the human experience in every moment, more than you could possibly even handle. Quite evidenced by the fact that I need to spit out about 5 minutes of dialogue or monologue for us to even describe what we're talking about, right? Yet the body itself can experience it so quickly. All of those infinity things happening in that moment. As we're always discussing on Padawan, ultimately the relationship between the self, as there's nothing else, right? Infinity things right here. Let's just be present in the moment, feeling so good from the inside out. Why do we have this diagram? To help us orient towards our inner design so that we can experience as much of this presentness as possible. Be most of our oneness as possible in the moment, because doesn't that feel so good? As in, check out that spine. As in, it has a front and a back, and although it is a front and a back, they still have different roles despite being the same structure. Like many things. What does that mean? Despite being the same structure, different roles. Kind of reminds you of men and women, right? Despite being so similarly structured when you think about the overall picture of things compared to the animal kingdom. Humans, male and females don't vary very much in physical manifestation compared to most other creatures in the animal kingdom. Yeah, you might concern yourself with insects, with which the role of a male praying mantis is very different than a woman's role in the praying mantis species realm. Which literally, I believe, after they copulate and after they mate, I believe the female actually bites the head off of the male in order to feed the new babies coming in. Maybe not so different than humans after all, nyuk nyuk nyuk. But yeah, humans, the male and the females don't vary that much in physical appearance. Similarly, like this body design, you got this spine, you got very similar experience. You got the spine, basically one big spine, right? You got this spine. However, you got the front and the back of the spine, both part of the spine, the front and the back, yet being charged with extremely different roles by nature. The front of the spine being the weight-bearing portion of the spine, which houses none of the nerves but is designed to carry all of the weight of the body. Whereas the back of the spine houses all the nerves, but due to its hollow nature, is meant to be flexible, however, not actually support the weight of the body, but is housing the nerves, the back of the spine. Two parts of the spine, from the outside looking in, they look like one spine, however, very, very vastly different roles in our bodies. So our body uses it in a specific way. So if there's a design to the insides of our bodies, to the inside of our experience, what then for the experiences on the outside world? Again, if there's a design on the inside of the body, if we can establish that there's a design on the inside of the body, something that's logical, something that's not scary, something that's predictable, something that's learnable, perceivable and measurable. What if we had something on the inside of the body now that is perceivable and measurable by a design? If there's something on the inside of our experience that is designed and we can perceive and measure its quality with which we are following this design, what then for our experiences on the outside world then? Would that not mean that there might be designed to other things that we were lost in, that we were confused by, scared by, thinking that there was no design to it? Like love. We all want it, we all need it. Since day one, since childhood, since birth, we all knew we wanted it, we needed it. Love. We all know we wanted it, we all know we needed it. Love. But weren't we scared of it, thinking that there's no design? This outside world we were looking at all the time. Art. Love. Things of fiction to us. Though we want them to be so real, it's almost like a game that we all play. It's almost like a together game mentally that we all play because we all can't be sure of it. This art, this love. subjectivity, these feelings in life. As you're walking around today, as you're looking around at the world, how much of your world is built around faith of this love, this idea of art? This idea of life itself could have no design. You're not allowed to scrutinize nothing because there's no such thing as a true design to nothing. But if there's a true design to the inside, then what then to the outside world? Was there actually a design that we've been missing the entire time? If there's a design on the inside world, one that we can perceive and measure our performance with, or our discovery towards, not performance, definitely not performance. We can measure the performance, but we want to focus on discovery. If there's a design on the inside world of our own experience that precedes our even thoughts about the outside world, if there's an inside design of even the way we think about the outside world, what then for the outside world? If we can experience that there's a design that we can discover, and discover with which quality we are moving towards or abiding by this design on the inside world. For example, placing the weight on the body on the front of the spine versus the back, and discovering that it has some type of measurable reflection onto your human experience, or letting your weight being delivered into these rainbow arches instead of thinking that your weight is delivered into this singular tailbone, and allowing your weight to be distributed equally across these rainbow arches before being delivered into your legs, which you are not sitting on, remember. If there is a design there from the inside out, something that precedes our emotions, our thoughts, our ability to put logic together, then what then for the outside world? What does that mean for the outside world? For things that we once thought had no design, for things that we once thought we had no control over, such as placing your weight on the body on the front of the spine, and then allowing your weight to be delivered into the rainbow arches, and allowing this proper motion of your body's deliverance of weight to allow your lungs to pull in proper amounts of air into the body, in the proper channels, to affect your physical experience, to affect to affect your own body's ability to feel balanced, to feel in the moment, to feel present, to feel relaxed, to feel poised to move, to feel understanding, to feel loved, to feel great in the moment. If we didn't know until recently that there was something to facilitate our design, if we didn't know until recently that there was a design on the inside that we could have some type of measurable or perceivable control over, that would actually affect our human state of consciousness, such as pretending that there's a candle for the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. If we had only just now figured out that there is a design or a design towards a proper breath, towards a proper deliverance of weight into the body, which is what? A proper stillness or a proper presence of the moment, right? As in, like, gravity's always pulling down on you every second. So every second you're interacting with this thing called this thing is your body, right? Every second you're interacting with this body that's constantly falling. And so every moment you're deciding where to allow these parts of your body to rest, whether they be forward or back, right? Your shoulders forward or they be back. Your spine bent or it be straight. Your legs crossed or they be flat on the floor. Your neck crooked to the left or your neck balanced in the middle. Your eyes closed or your eyes open. How are you experiencing this moment right now? How are you experiencing this moment as it passes by to the next? That is what we mean by this design. If there was some kind of design on the inside out of experiencing this moment to the next, of yes, you do in fact allow this weight to be delivered evenly across those rainbow arches. If there was a design on the inside, something that we thought to be so invisible and so subjective. Oh, the way everybody sits is whatever they want. Oh, the way everyone delivers their weight is whatever they want. You can't touch. If there is in fact a design to that, such that even these people who you might be discerning about, but actually you might be helping them by pushing them closer to this designed to feel so much better in that moment of theirs, to make better decisions in their feelings, or just to be more natural and more present in that moment. If there was a design to help people push towards people to be more authentic and present in their individual moments, then what then for the design of things that we thought in the outside world that we thought once had no design? If there is a design to something so invisible like our own inside human experience that we can perceive and measure our coordination with, then what then for others? Then what then for other subjective quote unquote concepts in the outside world that we used to think had no design? Like love. As we're always discovering, what if there was a design there that we can feel affect us, like pretending there's a candle, or allowing your way to be into those rainbow arches. There's something so close and intimate and so interconnected and interwoven into your everyday experience, still had so much more mystery for you to uncover, that there was actually a design that you could follow, that you could actually gauge yourself with so you weren't going crazy. Then what then for other things in this world, like love? Things once thought a mystery. If there's a design to this inside world of ours, then why would you want a design? Well, isn't it easier to fix a car if you know the design, the schematics of how it's supposed to be? Don't we all aren't we all always looking just for a way to be? A way to make sense of all this, a way to make sure this is all worth it, right? This meaning stuff. We're always just looking for this meaning stuff, where we always just looking for we always just looking for something that just makes sense, so we can gauge our own progress towards it. So if there is indeed this design, as we're continuing to find on Palawan, on this inside world, then what then for other things on the outside world that once we thought had no design? Fat! Let's talk about fat! Is there a design to love? Why do people care about being fat? Why is being fat a bad thing? Why are people like, oh, I don't want my husband and wife to be fat? Why fat? Why fat? Why fat? Why? Or is it because lardy? Is it because of just the way it looks? Oh, my body, my choice. What is the reason why people don't like fatness? Fatness. And we're here to talk. It's always true love, right? It's always love. Love, as you know, love being the truth without hatred. So we discussed today, fat, talk about it with the truth without hatred. On True Love Tuesday, we talk about, let's get real. Let's get real. Is it just because of an objective fatness, or is it more about a relationship with the self, like everything else here on Palawan? We'll be right back, okay? Remember to pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone. Again, I say, remember to pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so, always throughout the day, and observing the sense of self as you do so. Remember, please pretend that there's a candle with me on the first podcast in 3D. That there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so, observing your sense of self the entire time. Feeling so good from the inside out. Always remember to allow all of these words to go in one ear and out the other. Is it an objective size, or texture, or feeling of fatness? Or like all things, is it deeper than that? And like all things on Palawan, is it more about the relationship with the self? What can we learn from that? Is this fatness thing objectively something that we look at, or is it more, like all things, about a relationship? And what the meaning behind that is. Be right back. Yo, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever your world is at right now. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. World peace through inner world peace. Waking your worlds up physically, mentally, spiritually again. And then physically again. Why? To feel so much better. Objectively, Herbie, how's that even possible? Through the help of your only no nonsense podcast, and of course through the help of you, that vessel. Your vessel, that window to this godlike experience of yours that you are, and that amazing 3D body of yours. As we are listening to this first podcast in 3D, are we remembering to allow all of these words to go in one ear and out the other, and to observe your sense of self as you do so? Stretching our self-awareness like a muscle every morning at 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. How Pacific Standard Time? How are you? How are you? Are you still in bed right now? Are you just laying back, cross-legged, arms behind your back, just arms behind your head, just chilling? Are you just hanging out? Or maybe you're eating. What you up to right now? Are you brushing your teeth right now? Are you flossing? Make sure to floss. Flossing is so good. Flossing is so good for you. You just gotta start and then just keep up. Just stay with it until it stops being so bad. It's gonna be bad at first, like most things. But then your body gets used to it and it gets cleaner and cleaner over time. It gets easier and easier to clean. It's worth it. Fat. Fat. Talking about fat. Loving fat. I was gonna talk about the topic today was going to be physical appearance or physical attraction. But I thought that topic was a little too big. So we chose fat instead. Fat! Why does it matter? Fat. Why does it matter? Is it just this physical appearance, that just this roundness? Well, impossible. Why? Because humans what the heck do you, we're just these things, right? We're just these creatures. What the heck do we know about about beauty? When it comes to size and objective size, we can find large things attractive. You can find small things attractive. As we know, there could be attractive tall people, attractive small people. There could be attractive skinny people, attractive skinny people, attractive fat people. There can even be attractive ugly people and attractive nice looking people. Wouldn't you agree? As what is this attraction thing? There's like some water going on in these videos. Or in this audio, so we're trying to get rid of the water. Let's see if that fixed it. By the way, it does seem to have fixed it. By the way, if you have any questions, any concerns for us here at Padawan, please either comment them or DM them or anything, Twitter, shout us out or anything you need to do, and we will be sure to get to them at the end of these shows. I'll like to keep an open forum for that kind of thing if that thing is something you guys would like to do. So feel free if you guys would like to do that, if you guys want to communicate, chat. Shout out Eric so far for always for all the comments. Yeah, do appreciate the support. Do appreciate where that's all going. Let's keep going. Fat. Is it not just this relationship with the self? Because as we know, aren't there just what the heck do we know about beauty? An eyeball. What shape does it need to be attractive? What shape does a nose need to be attractive? What shape does a body need to be attractive? What is attractiveness, right? What even is attractiveness? You're attracted to all sorts of things. I'm sure you've been attracted to curves. I'm sure you've been attracted to straights. I'm sure you've been attracted to less curvy. I'm sure you've been attracted to bony. I'm sure you've been attracted to fatty sometimes. It all depends, right? On what? Are we really looking at these objective shapes when we think about attraction? Are we thinking about, oh, it needs to be, this girl needs to have the ratio of this. It needs to be exactly such and such inches, or this man needs to be such and such height, otherwise it will not be attractive to him. But then you find yourself being attracted to someone else, someone a different height. So what is this? Or you say, oh, well, I'm attracted to such and such amount of shoulder width. Well, what is enough shoulder width? What does your brain know about shoulder width? Aren't those just measurements, and aren't you just comparing those to just other shoulder widths? Or if it's hip sizes that you're looking at, what exactly is the right hip size? What is the objective good hip size? Is it in inches? We try, as we are younger, we try to put numbers on those things because we're afraid of the fear of not finding what we want. So we try to put these bounds on it. So we think it's something attainable, right? We're like, okay, it's got to be such and such inches. It's got to be such and such size. It's got to be such and such look. It's got to be such and such hair length. It's got to be such and such thickness. It's got to be such and such height or skinniness, right? But what does our brain know about those things? Aren't those all things like kind of subjective, relative, right? As we were walking around today, are you walking around your neighborhood? Are you looking around at other people, or are you alone right now? Are you feeling those rainbow arches? Whatever you were doing right now, have you thought about that? You can find attractiveness in anything, right? Fat people, skinny people. I'm sure there are larger people that are attractive to you at some point. There is some kind of bounds, right? So what are we really looking at? Is it some kind of overall size? Is it a complete lack of? Is it a percentage? When we look at people, are we looking at them like, they gotta be like 80%. They gotta be like, that's a large number. They gotta be like less than, they're gonna die. They gotta be like less than 1% body fat. Are we looking at, they gotta have less than 500 celluloid things that I can measure on their body. Are we looking at that specifically? Are we quote unquote hard focusing when we should be soft focusing? Don't we always kind of soft focus when we're looking at attraction? Doesn't it happen to immediately? Or do we take time to really find out and study if we're attracted to somebody? Is this attraction immediate usually? Or is it this something that we have to just like, we have to look at their individual pores and count the amount of pores that they have on their face before we decide if we're attracted to them or not? No, it's more on a soft focus level, right? So what are we really looking at? We're not looking at these individual clumps or the amount or angles of curves that they have on their body, right? We're not measuring those, but for some reason we're just attracted to certain ones. We might be able to find and discuss ourselves and discuss with ourselves what it is that we find most physically attractive. But why is fat why is fat given why is fat given attention unlike any other when it comes to this size thing? Like most things. I mean, height is given attention like nothing other. And so is skin color. And so is obesity. All of these things, they are all unique conversations. For our purposes, what is the unique conversation with fat? Is it the fact that this fatness is a certain size that we're trying to look for? In our lives, are we looking for a certain number? Do we get disgusted when they get over a certain number? Oh, if you measured it wrong though, you're just like, oh, okay, actually I love you still. My bad. I measured it wrong. We're good. My bad, guys. We measured it wrong. We're still in love. Sorry. We measured him wrong. He's actually 5'5" and not 5'4". I do love him. Isn't that what we do? Is that what we do? I mean, is that what we're doing out here? Actually, guys, he's the number, so I love him. Actually, guys, she has that amount of curve. I checked the angle. It is the angle that I want to the percentage decimal placement points. Is that how we experience love? No. Like all things, humans look at meaning over objectivity, right? Meanings always jump out at human beings more than object. Remember, meaning always jumps out at human beings more than object. We react to meaning, not object. Right? We react to meaning, not object. Again, say it with me. We react to meaning, not object. Say it with me. We react to meaning, not object. Indeed. As human beings, we react to meaning, not object. We're so fast. We're so fast at that. Our whole body, our whole human body experience, using head to toe, using imagination, using feelings, using all layers of consciousness, all layers from emotionalism, or from survivability, all the way down to just like objectivity and logic, from emotion, using your whole entire body experience, we can just establish meaning. Bringing together all different layers of consciousness, just creativity, just boom. Creating meaning and attaching moments in our lives and senses together with this moment and boom, just establish all this meaning. To establish all this meaning very quickly from somebody who has a specific look And the way that their fatness, because we all know that not all fat is equal, right? Because there's some fat that is just gathered, and there's some fat that it looks like is on the way to being used. Or there's some fat in a body that looks like the relationship with themselves is one that they go to the gym a lot. They still might be fat, but you can tell. And there might, or you might imply, or their body might imply that their relationship with themselves is one that they do not actually engage in physical activity often. So is it this fatness, this shape that we're looking at, or is it, again, like all things in life with human beings, is it the meaning behind it? Isn't it just the meaning behind it? It's not this objective. There's no measurable way for a human being to know exactly what's a certain amount of number of fatness or number of skinniness that's attracted to somebody, but rather we look at the meaning of the way this body is, the way this body exists in time. Because we know that our bodies are moments over time. Our bodies are created over time. No one gets old in a day. And similarly, no one gets fat in a day. No one gets skinny in a day. So we understand that since our bodies are this slow but honest moving log of our relationship with ourselves, which means our relationship with life itself. So as this body itself is this moving and slow but very honest log of your life, can we not see a relationship with the self? And do we not assess our relationship with the people and our value with them with how well the relationship is with themselves? Their dignity. Do they have a dignified relationship? Do they have dignity? Do they have a serious relationship with themselves? Do they uphold dignity? Because if you had a serious relationship with yourself, you would, one, want to take care of this self so that you can go and help the things that you care about. Because as a human being, you care about plenty of things. So you want to go and love those things. And how do you do that? Well, your vessel has to take you there. So you have to take care of that vessel. So how much do you care about taking care of other things? Well, that's reflected by how much you take care of your vessel. Because if you take care of your vessel, it means you value what your vessel can do for other people. So you take care of it so that you can help other people. But if you feel victimized by the world, you feel like you don't want to help other people, you end up taking it out on yourself because you're like, why would I want to go help other people anyway? I'm just going to imbibe. I'm just going to receive. I'm just going to placate all of my desires. I'm just going to feel good. I'm just going to appeal to all of my feelings right here and now because how I feel is most important. And I don't actually feel like I want to. Or the thing is that a lot of people think that just because you're not giving out to the world, that you're not necessarily giving or that you're not necessarily loving. And a lot of the times people don't have confidence in themselves that what they're doing for the world is worth anything. So doesn't that say a certain amount of confidence about how they feel about themselves and also about how they care about other people? A lot of things go into it, right? A lot of things go into that pot, right? So when we look at this fat thing, are we looking at this objective size? Is there an objective size that would be just right for us to be attracted to? No, it couldn't be because we're attracted to wider people sometimes. Sometimes we're attracted to less wide people. So what are we actually looking at? Aren't we attracted by the meaning of what their body is? As in, when their body is an unkempt kind of fat, something you can't hide, doesn't that imply a certain relationship with themselves? And doesn't that imply a certain kind of relationship that you would have with them if you started having a relationship with them? How can you have a relationship with somebody who doesn't have a dignified relationship with themselves? You're always going to be fighting for attention with this person's self. Always. And the self of that person is always going to win at the end if they haven't got that part down yet. If they haven't got that part down, if they don't have the relationship with themselves down pat, you can't trust yourself to have a relationship with them. No wonder we're looking at the fat, because the relationship that you have with yourself is correctly logged in your body. And so like all things in relationships, we're looking at the future, far into the future, immediately. Because we think about meaning before object. We're looking at how we're going to be with this person. Well, how you're going to be with this person is largely dependent on how that person's going to be with themselves. Because we're always with ourselves first and foremost. And I'm sure you've been there. Fighting for someone's attention when that person's own self is fighting for their attention is not fun. Never ends well. So you might be in this position where you are situated by the time you realize that you were fat, or by the time you realize that you wanted to stop being fat, you might have already been fat. It's not your fault that you were there, but it is your fault if you don't take steps to overcome this, because that is a relationship with yourself now. That is a relationship with yourself now. And that's something you can't hide, as it's always logged in your body. But that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Again, I say that this fatness is a relationship with you, whether it's attractive fatness or whether it's beautiful kind of fatness, right? Because it may be that you are already just in a fat position and now you're on your way to a better body, or you're on your way to a more healthy body, such that you can spread your love and joy with the world and continue to do so as long as you can, most efficiently, and with as much grace as you can, as much flexibility and as much mobility as you can, to spread love and yourself to the rest of the world with much mobility as you can. You might be different parts. You might be in a fat state already, but this relationship with the self, of whether or not you are already on this path of establishing a relationship with the self, or if it's quite clear and evident through the body that the relationship with the self is one that is blurred and unsure and uncertain, it all reflects in the body. But that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Why might not it might not be a bad thing that you can't hide it? Because as soon as you begin your work on it, it begins to show, and you can have confidence in that. You can't hide your relationship with yourself. Your relationship with yourself shows up physically in your body. And if it manifests itself into fatness, it manifests itself into fatness, and it does say something about your relationship with yourself, and you can't hide that. But that's not a bad thing, because as soon as you fix that relationship with yourself, it also begins to show, and you don't have to worry about that. It happens immediately. You feel me? This relationship with yourself. It's not about this objectivity. There's no objective amount of fatness. But the way the body looks, the way the muscles end up end up tightening, the way the fat ends up being placed, the way the fat ends up being shaped, where it's being delivered in the body, even the way that your body moves, the coordination of your step, because the fact that your body is moving slowly from a place of more weight to a place of less weight, your body moves in a particular way. It's coordinated in a certain way because it's experiencing less weight than before, and it shows in the way that you move, in everything that you do. So yes, your relationship with yourself, as crappy as it might be, as disgusting and repulsive as your relationship with yourself might be, it's honest and it shows, and you can't hide it on the outside. But that's not a bad thing, because as soon as your relationship starts to get nice and great, well, you can't hide that either, and it starts to show up whether you like it or not. We'll be right back, okay? Please pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips and you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone. Remember that the weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front, and deliver weight into the rainbow arch, not your legs. Remember that you do not sit on your legs. As you feel the fronts of your shins, bring those shins into your awareness, feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. We'll be right back here on Padawan, discussing fat. No objective fat, just a relationship with yourself. We'll be right back. Yep. Welcome back. I'm feeling so good from the inside out. Have you been able to pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out? And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. 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 Fat. Is this some objective amount of thing? Are we really looking for an exactly smoothness in the skin? No celluloids? Cellulose? I don't know what they call it. Cellular phones? Are we looking for that perfect? No rolls? Are we looking for a specific number on that scale? Or are we always just looking at meaning? And isn't there meaning behind someone's body? Isn't the body itself an honest and slow moving, sometimes fast, but isn't the body itself an honest, faithful log of exactly how somebody lives their life, a relationship with themselves, how often they're able to get out of bed to do what they need to do, all sorts of things, the relationship with themselves, which might even include the shame that includes it being fat. This relationship with this self. We don't like it. We don't like this relationship with the self. Why? Because we can't see it. We can't measure that we can get better at it. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing. We can't talk about what people are supposed to be doing because we don't have any way to measure or perceive it or understand it or communicate it. But we kind of do, as it's always happening. We kind of do understand it, as it's an honest reflection of your entire life. What's going down, but it's not a bad thing. It's an honest reflection of your entire life, but that's a good thing, isn't it? This body thing, right? We don't often discuss talking to people about the relationship with themselves because we understand that the relationship with the self is so honest, such an honest conversation. Even the body itself, we don't like to discuss about the whole fatness thing because it's a very honest conversation. It's very on the nose. It's a quote unquote heavy conversation. But is it because we're getting too offended because we're taking things, we're jumping to conclusions? Aren't we jumping to conclusions? Weren't we always just talking about a relationship with the self, which ends up reflecting in the body by nature? Honestly. It honestly reflects itself in the body. Your relationship with yourself honestly reflects itself in the body. So isn't that why we perhaps are a little bit afraid to talk about it? We're afraid to talk about the fatness thing because we recognize it is not just about the objective fatness, but rather it is. When a second you talk about someone's fatness, their size, you are implying something possibly about their lifestyle. But it's a relationship with the self, is what we're discovering. Not just a lifestyle. A lifestyle entirely is a relationship with the self. And why is that a good thing to acknowledge? Because once you acknowledge it as a relationship with the self, you can begin improving it the same way you would detoxify a relationship. Right? Isn't that so? As in being life-loving, not death-fearing. As in, yes, it's true that your body is a faithful log of your behavior in your relationship with yourself. And that's a good thing. Because as soon as you begin working on this relationship with yourself, it begins to manifest outwardly just the same way it was manifesting outwardly that your relationship with the self before was damaged and unhealthy. As soon as you begin working on it, as soon as we acknowledge that that's what it is and give ourselves permission to work on it, it begins to show and manifest the same way outwardly, and you cannot hide that. That's what's so great about it. Isn't that so freaking great? ultimately, when people look at this fatness thing, when they look at people's relationship with themselves, ultimately all we're looking at is how much will I enjoy being with this person. Why? Because even when we're with kids, how well can you raise your kids? Well, you're going to raise them kids the best when you're enjoying life. So how well am I going to enjoy myself with this person? And our bodies being complete reflections of how our relationship is with ourselves, whether you like it or not, will inform the world of how they should feel about them being in a relationship with you, as they can see how you are in a relationship with yourself. And that relationship with the self always precedes everything else, always takes priority, doesn't it? At the end of the day, it will always take priority. Because whatever you love, guess what's loving it? That self of yours. So doesn't that always have to take priority? As without the self, well, like you can love nothing. So just logically, as we're feeling so good on the inside out anyway, right? Logically, but feeling so good. Isn't it just logical that we're looking at this relationship with the self to decide whether or not we're going to enjoy being with this person and a relationship with them? Because the relationship with the self takes priority. So if that relationship ain't square, you know that they're going to mess up that relationship with you somewhere. Ultimately, we're looking at how much can I enjoy being with this person. And as the body is a faithful reflection of this person's relationship with themselves, it is always telegraphing to you how much you will enjoy being in a relationship with this person. And there are no secrets in your life, and there are no secrets in love, as it reflects in the body. But that's a good thing. There are no secrets in life and love, but that's a good thing as it reflects in the body, because as soon as you switch up that relationship with the self, it begins to show, and you can be sexy. You are always sexy, as sexiness is about the relationship with the self. Just like, oh, thanks. Is that what we're looking at? We're not looking at objective curves. We're not looking at, we don't have a protractor everywhere we go. We're not looking at exactly the right angles. We're not looking at the exact right curves, but rather looking at the entire holistic thing in this relationship with the self and how it reflects to the outside body, how it manifests to the outside body. And yeah, that might be scary because I can't hide my relationship with myself. I can't hide all the times that I've been doing those things that I wasn't so proud of. Yeah, I know, but back then you didn't understand that you had a relationship with yourself, and that's all that was going on. Things that you were going to do, the things that you did to overcome your moments of sadness aren't you, but rather you being limited by these rules. But those aren't you, as in what you look like when you have freedom to choose. Because when you're not in this relationship with yourself and you're thinking that, oh, whatever I'm doing is me, well, of course, you don't really feel like you have a relationship to choose. Freedom to choose. But you are not what you do to overcome, as you are in situations that force you to overcome in certain ways. So you are not what you do to overcome. You are not what you do to overcome. You are the choices that you make when you are free. So don't we feel more free knowing that there are no secrets in life? But that's a good thing. And no one's looking at this objective fat thing. Don't we feel more free to know that they're not looking at this objective fat thing? Don't worry about that thing. They're not looking at this objective fat thing, so don't worry about that thing. They're looking at this relationship with the self, which you can't hide, for better or for worse, but definitely for better. We're looking at this relationship that you can't hide. So as soon as you flip the script on this relationship, well, guess what they're gonna see? You can't hide that. As your body on the outside shows muscularly, posturally, in every sort of the way. The way that your muscles hang, the way that your fat will hang, the way that your bones will align with itself, the way that your voice will sound. The way that your outlook on life, the way that you decide to come at jokes, it will all metamorphosize. The way that you decide to even walk, the way that you decide to move physically, literally in the world, metamorphosizes when you improve this relationship with thyself. Ultimately, ultimately, we're all just trying to feel good from the inside out, right? Ultimately, we're all just trying to feel good from the inside out, right? How happy will we be if we're not living life from the inside out, right? In our body, as it is a faithful reflection, as our body is a faithful recreation of our relationship with ourselves, day to day to day to day. A faithful log of what we do. There are no secrets then in life and love, as it always reflects in our body, in our actions, in our movements. But that's not a bad thing, that there's no secrets in life and love in the body, because as soon as you change it up, your work will show. You can give your permission, give your body permission that your work will show. Yo, give your body permission that your work will show. Thank you guys for joining for another episode of True Love Tuesdays, guys. We're gonna run that back, of course, because it's such a great way to send you guys out. But thank you guys for another episode of True Love Tuesdays on Pago One. It is absolutely Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. We already out here. Thank you guys for being here, for joining us this morning, or for wherever you are, whenever thou art. Remember to feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all of the times. Feel the front of the shin. Remember that you do not sit on your legs. All these words in one ear and out the other. Pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. Leave your swallowing muscles alone. Leave your swallowing muscles alone. And we'll see you guys right back here tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. This is Herbie. Now go on. Get your ass up. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you guys.